After many years of debating exactly or trying to find out exactly how much our legislators, the senators, the members of Congress, trying to find out how much they earn, the cat was finally let out of the bag, so they say, by a senator out of Kano, Senator Shehu Sani, who finally vomited the huge amount of money that Nigerian senators take home as pay and as sitting allowance. With that, I welcome you all to On Point. My name is Patrick Omosage. This program, like I said, is where I give you necessarily my personal opinion, but also the points that you have to understand when you look at issues, especially political issues around the world. The issue of what Nigerian legislators take home as salary has been of great concern and great secrecy for many, many years. Since the ascendance of this Third Republic, it has been a topic or an issue that we've always wanted to know. How much do these guys make? But I'm not going to even start with that. I'm going to start with the history of the system that we are using, the presidential system of government. So when I come back, because I'm going to take a very short break to gather my thoughts again, and I'm going to give you a brief history of the presidential system, which we copied directly from the American system. And take this from me, this is a point you have to understand. We are the only other country that uses the presidential system of government, the direct copy from the United States of America. So I'll take a break and I'll be right back. Back. This is On Point with Patrick Omosage on Vineyard Television. I mean, we are on twice weekly, and we do have some other reruns of this program. So just find it on your dial, and you will not regret following this program. Before I left, I said I was going to give you a brief history of the presidential system of government, which we took in the 1979 Second Republic. After Obasanjo, who was the military head of state from 76 to 79, they created the system of government, or they copied the system of government. Like I said, it's a direct copy of the American system. The only exception is who the number 3 person is in government. In the American system, which we copied, the Speaker of the House of Representatives is the number 3 person after the president, vice president, then it's the speaker. In the Nigerian system, what we have done is that the president of the Senate is the number 3. That is the only difference. Every other thing we copied, including the expensive system, the expenses of the system. So that is why over the years when we have talked about how much do our senators make, they make too much money, I kind of laugh internally because we copied a system that no other country copied. There are so many hybrids of the system. The French system is a hybrid. The Indian system of government is a hybrid of the presidential system. But we copied, like we say, in total, what the Americans do, including the huge amount of money that is also spent in the American system of government. So let me start with the American system of government and explain to you how expensive it is. Every congressman or senator in America is given a certain amount of money to run his congressional office. They call them members' representational allowance. Of course, we have a name for our own. The members' representational allowance for a congressman in the United States is about $2 million. For a senator, it goes to about $4 to $4.5 million on an average. That's a huge amount. $4.5 million for 100 senators, almost $2 million for 435 members of Congress. It is just not the amount that bothers me. I mean, when you study this, it is the fact that a senator who's supposed to be making laws is really made a CEO. You see, with that kind of amount, he's really a CEO of a very small company. There are not too many companies that make that turn over $5 million a year. A small fast food chain in America, McDonald's, turns over about 2.8 million a year. That's their turnover. And they probably have about 50, 60 workers. Maybe obviously it's a lot of part-time, but it's a huge business that turns over $3 million. Now you expect a senator that his job is to make laws, or a congressman that his sole job is to make laws for the people he represents, now running a small company because he is allowed to hire anybody. In the senator's office, I think they're allowed to hire about up to 18 people, and they can hire anybody. Go find out. Most of them have hired their wives. The only limitations that they have is that I think they cannot pay more than, they can't pay your highest paid worker in your office as a senator or as a congressman. I think it cannot be more than $160,000 per annum. How many people earn $160,000 per annum in America? How many? The median salary is about $55,000. A teacher averages about $68,000 to $75,000 on an average. I mean, an 8-year experienced teacher. So you can see the expense chart of the American system. It is so expensive that you do have a couple senators and a couple of members of Congress that, not in annoyance, but in that what are we doing with the people's money, that do return money on a yearly basis into the government coffers. They return money to government. One of the best known that does this regularly is Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky. He returns on an average, since he's been in the Senate, he returns on an average $500,000 every year back into the government purse, because he thinks it's just almost crazy to make him a CEO, to run a company and really have so much excess. He believes that, look, we're wasting money. Members' representational allowance, that is what it's called. And that is what Nigeria has copied. America can afford it. We cannot. So I'll take another break. When I come back, I will now deal with the issue of Nigeria and tell you why this. And even though it bothers a lot of people, it has never really bothered me because I always knew what the money or what their salary or what the take home of our legislators has always been. I've always had a faint idea. Copying the American system, I already knew that we're spending and burning a lot of money that we shouldn't be. And we had been told this before because the former governor, now the Emir of Kano, Sanusi Lamido, at one time raised an alarm and said Nigerian legislators or the Nigerian Congress is spending at almost 20% of the total budget of the country to run themselves. At that time, we kind of waved him off. But it's now coming back because now a senator out of Kano, Senator Shehu Sani, has finally blown the lead open. So I'll take a break and I'll be right back. Welcome back. This is On Point with Patrick Omosagi. I have a little background in history and in political science. That was my first degree. So, I mean, talking about systems of government is nothing unusual for me. I studied it. both in academics and just as for the fun of it. I've always enjoyed understanding the system of government here in America. I was also fortunate to have worked with the Nigerian system in the Second Republic in its early years. I did my youth corps. I mean, for those of you, that are not familiar with youth corps, it's the 1-year service that you do for government or the government mandates. And I did my youth corps under the presidency in Nigeria. So I'm very familiar with the presidential system of government. Now, for a Nigerian senator, his take-home salary is what? It's really a meager money, it's a pittance. It comes to about $24,000 a year. That's his salary. That's the salary of a Nigerian senator. $750,000, $750,000 naira is what it takes him every month. That's $2,000 a month. Those of us that live in Houston here, $2,000 a month. If you're renting an apartment, you're probably paying $2,000 a month for rent. But that's what a Nigerian senator takes home. He also given $13.5 million every month. Now, people will say, what is it? Why do they give him that? Look, whether we like it or not, whether we have a name for it or not, it is for him to run his office. It's for him to run his congressional office both in Abuja and his ward or his state. It's usually to have personnel in your office. It's expenses, office expenses. It's for travel. It's for all types of things. Like Senator Shehu Sani said, he said all they have to do is to just give receipts. And I can tell there's probably a business that has been set up that churns out receipts for these things, There's no limit to the corruption when you throw money at people without, binding the money down to something. 13.5 million a month, which is just under $500,000, compared to an American senator that takes in $4 million to run his office. Ours use $500,000, and we're complaining. Don't get me wrong, we're not on the same wavelength when it comes to budget or resources, money resources. America is way ahead of us. But what I'm trying to point out here, the point I'm trying to make, is that we picked the most expensive system of government. That's what we did. I don't want to say that we picked the most expensive and the most corrupt, but the way it is set up, it leads to pure corruption. You're telling people that came to make laws to be small CEOs. Go find out how many companies that turn over 4 million. A company that turns over 4 million in America is doing good business, good and serious business. And that's all they do. We're telling people that are legislators full-time to be part-time CEOs, running on that kind of money. They're going to misuse it. They're going to squander it. They're going to turn it into personal wealth, which is what we have seen in the Nigerian case. Like I said, in the American case, there's a lot of shenanigans that go on too. People hire their children. People hire their brothers' children. People hire their wives. I'm a senator. I can hire my friend's wife and give her the highest, the limit of pay, $160,000, and he can hire my children and pay them $60,000, $70,000 a year. Part of the budget in the American system is used for mail. Mail. Who mails? And look, if the members of Congress in America actually still use the mail, the U.S. Post Office will not be broke. They will not be almost bankrupt. But nobody uses mail today. Everything is electronic. But they still say they use mail. They still pay. They still use taxes to say they're sending mail. When everything is really online, electronic today. Is that not corruption? It is. But nobody's going to challenge them. And that's what has happened in the case of Nigeria. Nobody really challenged our senators. We all complain about it. I remember a group that I did partially join many years ago, occupy the 9th Assembly, Nigerian National Assembly, the 9th one, which we are in. And I really just joined it to, not to laugh at the people that set it up, but to make them understand there's nothing we can do about it. It's a system we've employed, and it's going to be there until we either decide to change from the presidential system to do something that is more economical to us. Because that's really the problem. This is a huge financial burden on Nigeria. Like I said before I left, before the other break, I did say that the former central bank governor, now the Emir of Kano, had raised this alarm many years ago. That we're spending too much on our Congress. Yes, we kind of listened to him, but nothing happened. What has surprised me most is that this is just coming out. The numbers are just coming out. This senator that has exposed this has been on CNN, has been on BBC, and is talking about this as if nobody knew this. All the presidents that have run, that have been presidents, from Obasanjo to Yar'Adua to Jonathan, now to Buhari, of course they knew how much these guys were being paid. Why did not one of them ever say that this is too high, we've got to do something about this? No, because we also haven't found out the kind of money that the president and the vice president also make as allowances. That is also very huge. I can guarantee you that. Let me take another break. When I come back, I'm going to give you the point or make some other points on this system of government, why it was the wrong one for us, both politically and financially. So I'll take that break and I'll be right back. Welcome back to On Point with Patrick Omosagi. As a former political science student, you do answer questions that, they say, what are the pros and cons of a particular system? And the presidential system, if I remember very clearly, I went to University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University in Ife. And I can remember clearly when we did the systems of government. We looked at the benefits and, of a system like the American system. What really is the benefit of the presidential system? That's the first question I would want to answer. And then the second one is that why did we pick it? Why are we the only other country? And take this from me, take this to the bank. It's a point you have to understand. We are the only other country in the world today that is running the presidential system like the American system. The Americans started it. It's their system. So let me answer the first question. Are there any benefits to the presidential system? Of course there are. It has worked well in America. It has worked some kind of okay in Nigeria. It has made us a little bit more stable because, what's the great benefit of a presidential system? Elections are fixed. Tenures are fixed. 4-year, 2 terms, and you're out. So that is a huge benefit. The parliamentary system, a government can fall if a major major bill is defeated. And I think if you use a parliamentary system in Nigeria today, government will fall pretty much every year. Not necessarily because of disagreements, but because of what we call bad belly. You know, people would say, look, we don't like this guy who's prime minister, now we're going to let his government fall. So there's a huge benefit to the presidential system for us in Nigeria. It has kept us stable. Since 1999, we have remained stable. I mean, transitions have been perfect. That's a benefit. Nobody can argue that. Nobody can argue that. And that's what we want to, look, that's how you want to live a life. You want stability. The political system, the political structure under the presidential government, under the presidential system which we're running, has made us a stable country politically. And that's the beauty of that. Now, what are the downfalls to the system? Or what is it that is not good about the system? It is expensive. It's almost uncontrollable expensive. The senators, the congressmen, the parliament generally, the National Assembly in Nigeria is unaccountable. Look, this is the first time since 1999 that a senator is opening his mouth and saying, here is what comes into my account monthly. 750,000 naira monthly as my salary, and another 13.5 million into my account as representational allowance. Can you believe that? Since 1999, this is the first time one member, and we've had how many members pass through this? Many hundreds of members, people have been members of this body. And this is the first time one person is really going on record to tell us the kind of money that comes through their accounts. And they are unaccountable to us. We can't query them. I used to laugh when people would say that this is what they make, and I said, look, at my age, and I have friends that have been there. I have friends that, I'm not trying to throw names around, which I won't mention names, but I've had classmates that are senators or House of Rep members. And when we talk generally, not with them, but other friends, I always say, why don't we ask him how much he takes home? Why are we arguing about what they are taking home, or why are we gossiping or carrying rumors when we really don't know? So one of the drawbacks of the system is that because of they are almost unaccountable to us, and the system, and the money produces or provides them with, the system provides them with money, so much money. It's really a huge drawback. It's too expensive for Nigeria. $500,000 to every senator to maintain $500,000 to maintain really his lifestyle. You can now understand why they fight to stay there. Why in some cases they kill people in order to retain their positions. I mean, we know a lot of people that have wanted to be senators that, mysteriously die in accidents and all that. This is why. To work in a place and earn $500,000 as salary or as income, I can bet you how hard you will work, except you're a professional athlete, a professional footballer, both in America and in Europe. But outside that, I don't care whether you work in Mobile. If you work in Mobile and you're having that kind of take-home salary a year, you know how hard you're going to work. I'm not saying that senators are not working hard. That is not what we're discussing today. We're discussing why we're also alarmed at the kind of money they make. It was obvious from the way they fight for these positions. It was obvious the way they all kept their mouth shut. So let's not be alarmed. Let us take it for what it is. What we need to call for now is a little bit more transparency, a little bit more accountability. The fact that we know that these monies that are given to them, they have to account for it by just showing receipts. We want to start to see what they do with it. How many of them have offices in their villages? How many of them have a staff? Is there a law or is there a rule within the Senate or in the House of Reps that says that they must hire a certain number of people? These are the things now we need to start to know. Now we know how much they take home. What are they using it for? I'm going to take my last break. When I come back, we'll address some more, or I'll make some more points on this issue. A quick break, and I'll be right back. Welcome back. Before I go, here are a few pointers I want to make to you. Let us stop, and we use this word a lot here in America. Let's stop whining about how much they make. Let us be more concerned on how they use it. If we can guide them on the usage of our money, it might be better. I'm sure every member of the House of Assembly in Nigeria should be able to employ 10 to 15 people with $500,000. He should have a staff that can do certain work for us as a country, research, manage things. That is what we need to point out to them. I don't think we should start quarreling because the money isn't going to change. That figure isn't going to change. But we must demand transparency. We must demand accountability. Now we know how much they make. Now we know how much goes through their accounts. Even the top senators that some people have always said are great for us and all that. Senator Ben Bruce, who they call the common sense senator. He never came out in the years he's been in the Senate now to tell us this is how much he takes home. And I'm not saying he's using the money wrong, but it's like a secret cult when they get in there. I can imagine what Senator Sani is having to face now because he obviously has broken a bond with his fellow members by telling us how much they take home. But our job as a people of that country is to now demand some transparency. Let us know what you use the money for. Let us even put in place what the money should be used for. Nobody should be giving 13.5 million, just more like what we call throwaway money. And we don't care what he does with it. We must put down some markers, employ so and so number of people. This is what you can buy and do with that money. If we do that, we'll probably be on the right track to a saner kind of government with the use of our money. That's our program today. This has been On Point with Patrick Omosage. I'll see you all back here next week. Bye-bye for now.